Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.
While you're in sunny Florida, be sure to visit
WARlando! Enter into a world of epic adventure.
There he is.
And how are you, sir?
Doing good. I wish I had more to that song. Maybe next time I'll have the next stanza.
That's all you really need, though.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Doing some test rolls of your dice.
Yeah, not going so well.
Don't you use Killian's dice? That young man is cursed enough without your help.
I think he actually took him with him. He's not leaving him in here with me anymore. Wise.
I want to know the data because you do just seem so unfortunate with the dice, my friend. I mean, it's just been that way for years now.
I know.
Welcome to WARlando for a very special one-off episode. We're going to be talking about Dragoncon. So we have our usual players. I am Adam. We have Nicholas.
Hello.
And we have Mark.
Yes, I'm here.
And for his very first appearance on the show, the one-of-a-kind, Coach Cale himself, DM extraordinaire.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. It is a pleasure to join you fine folks.
Mr. Matt Cale, everybody.
Yay. We love you, DM.
I know. I'm going to get a lot of ass kissing.
Does that get us an inspiration?
I just gave it to you guys.
It gives you inspiration.
You are my inspiration.
I am taking notes.
For our listeners out there, when we're not playing Warhammer, we're playing Dungeons and Dragons, and we're playing Curse of Strahd D&D 5e campaign, and Matt is our dungeon master for that. And he's a very excellent dungeon master with a great selection of accents and voices that he gives us.
It is a limited bag of tools from which to draw, but I feel like the ones I try to pull out are generally well rehearsed, or at least I hope they come across that way.
You work it well, sir.
Yes, absolutely. It was
especially the angsty teenager. That's my favorite.
What is that character's name? Oh God.
Oh, Victor Vajakovic.
Victor.
Oh, it makes me so happy that it's Mark's favorite NPC and Adam's least favorite NPC.
Absolutely. Least favorite. If I met that character in real life, oh my God, I would. Yeah, so many slaps. So many slaps.
Well, he's Victor in the campaign is a NPC that you all came across who's not only in a privileged position of being a noble, but also was sort of stumbled across some forbidden magical knowledge and is sort of a half-assed wannabe wizard at this point, but also so metal at all times.
It's so perfect.
Yeah, anytime we ask him, Victor, can you help us with this? Groans.
He can just feel the eye rolls. So perfect. So tonight, what's the big plan?
So we're going to Dragoncon. Here's Monday night. We're going to leave Thursday. We're going to leave right away Thursday morning.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So we're going to play some D&D. We know that in the open, the intelligence we've been able to gather for the big competitive open, that there's going to be 3 Warlocks and 3 Paladins. Right? That's from the write-up. Maybe I'll remember. I'll put a link to the write-up in the show notes so people know what we're talking about.
Yeah, and I believe they are paired up sort of in each Paladin is charged with the careful delivery of one of the evil warlocks to whatever their justice might be. So I believe you're handcuffed as a warlock to one of the paladins. throughout the adventure, which I think is super interesting.
Oh, so good. So good.
And then you're thrust into a survival situation.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like Midnight Run. You ever see that movie Midnight Run? Yeah. To be handcuffed with someone and fighting for your life the whole time. You don't agree on anything, and yeah, this sounds like the potential for fun. So much potential for fun. Thinking of like having to sneak around, like you get some big heavy armored paladin with some like maybe sneaky warlock, and they're handcuffed together. How do you do all your different feats? What if that like you're in a combat situation and your really tanky paladin is handcuffed to the range fighter warlock, the one that wants to hide and shoot, but they're stuck in the middle of combat if they're with the tanky paladin.
Yeah.
I'm hoping like just strategically that, well, why don't we talk about the classes first before we dive into all this other things we're thinking about. So Matt, do you want to take us through the three, at least in the player's handbook, the 3 oaths of the paladin?
Sure. So do you want me to run through all of them, or do you guys want to take turns?
Why don't you just the broad strokes of the 3 in the player's handbook?
Sure. So right off the top, and I am pulling this up to make sure I don't get any of these misquoted here, but the 3 template paladins that were published in the original player's handbook, when you hit level 3 as a paladin character, you are given the choice of a sacred oath. Is kind of how they've termed the archetypes for the individual paladins, and I've always been kind of a fan of the way they designed that, in that there is, everybody has like this idea of, this holy paladin, but within these archetypes, there's so much spread and opportunity to kind of, really be your own unique character, even within, the paladin class. So, and as part of that, you also are given specific spells and different sort of spins on channeling your divine power. And the 3 options that you have are the Oath of Devotion, you have the Oath of the Ancients, and then you also have the Oath of Vengeance. And those are the 3 that kind of that sort of define that spread, if you will. To me, I mean, the Oath of Devotion, which is the first one in there, that's really, I guess, what I think of, and y'all feel free to disagree here, that's really your cut from the cloth paladin, just the old classic stereotype.
I agree. Yeah, that goody two-shoe paladin. Yeah. Unfortunately, everybody kind of sticks that too.
Right. He's got the spells like, your zone of truth, everybody's got to play nice, that kind of stuff, right?
Mm-hmm. He's the guy in the party that ruins the party. Nobody can have a good time.
The no fun paladin, right?
He's the one running around with coasters.
Precisely. Yeah.
He's got like, remember to throw out your trash before my parents get home.
And then the Oath of the Ancients is, I kind of like, this is another sort of neat design thing. They sort of repeat throughout the system, but this is a little bit of a mashup of classes, if you will. The Oath of the Ancients is sort of a paladin with a nod toward a druid build. So he'll have things like control over plants and speak with animals, that sort of stuff. So it's kind of a neat intersection. Maybe, I don't know, his holy power is a little more derived from the natural world as opposed to studying in a temple, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you associate that kind of like maybe an elven paladin or a gnome paladin, something that's more coming straight from nature, not from a structured society.
Yeah, maybe he worships, more of an ancient fae type, deity as opposed to, well, I don't know, like some of the more classic gods from D&D. Just pick one, basically, lawful good spectrum. Like, what's the one?
Or
in 5e,
Bahamut, the Silver Dragon.
Yeah, the Silver Dragon. Yeah. That's kind of a classic one.
Lathander, who was Mark as a cleric of Lathander in our Curse of Strahd campaign. So that's definitely a goody two-shoes kind of god. And then I guess the last build is, I think it's a wide open build to me, the Oath of Vengeance.
Yeah.
totally capable of, you could play this character evil. You could, play him fighting different degrees of evil, which I think is an interesting thing, sort of tying back into what we were anticipating the D&D Open is going to be based on, which is the latest 5e release due out in September called Descent into Avernus, which for those who might not be familiar, this is going to be, I'm anticipating, directly set in the 9 planes of hell. So you have these lawful evil forces, devils and the such, fighting the chaotic evil forces, which is your more traditional demons and things like that. So certainly tons of opportunity for great role playing there with an Oath of Vengeance paladin.
And you were talking about like the paladins in general. They're like the goody two shoes of the party. This is where you can drop the paladin in, and then just they can do no wrong because everything they kill is evil. Everything they meet is evil, so they don't have to pull any punches. They can be lawful good all day long and just slaughter wholesale everything.
Yeah, all the smiting.
Yeah.
All of it.
Self-righteous even in their wrongness, right?
Yep.
This is like Thor in Endgame versus like Thor from the first movie or something like that.
Yeah. Remember in Ragnarok, he's in that hellscape that he goes down to, and he meets Surtur right in the beginning of that movie.
Yeah.
And he's just So those.
That's the idea of somebody out for like that's their sole driving force, is that kind of darker side of quote unquote righteousness, because it's now like their own version of righteousness, which I feel like when somebody can be powerful when they're fighting for the righteousness of like somebody else, but when they're fighting like their own version of righteousness, I feel like there's a little bit of untapped power that they begin to wield.
Kind of like a Jedi tapping into the dark side.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Stay on course, Adam. Stay on course.
Oh, right. Don't talk about Star Wars. Don't talk about Star Wars.
Oh, that was a close one.
Well, this is a close call.
Roll the tape forward an hour. Okay. Back to D&D.
So those are the 3 main types of paladins, those different oaths. The warlocks, it seems like in the player's handbook they have 6 sort of options. They have their 3 different types of patrons, and they have 3 different kinds of pacts. These pacts that they make to how they're gonna, I guess, fulfill their, I don't know. I want to say oath to their patron, but we're talking about oaths, so I don't want to say oaths, but yeah.
It's their, it's like you said, it's their pact. It's the deal they've made.
Yes.
And or their patron has made to them. They might be using them, and that means, it's kind of a symbiotic relationship between the two.
Yes. So many great role-playing options here. Just the thought of being able to role-play this, like, this commitment between these 2 beings that don't even exist necessarily on the same plane of existence.
Right, and the patron is as reliant on his warlock or warlocks as they are on him, so that he can sort of, have a foothold in the material plane, maybe where otherwise he wouldn't have the power to do so.
Yeah, I like the idea that we come back to a lot when we're talking about Warhammer too, that these deities, it's a mutual relationship, that the more followers a deity has, the more powerful the deity is. So for them to have these powerful followers out there in the world spreading their message, they need these people to be out there and be successful. They do depend on these warlocks and paladins that are out there in the world supporting these deities or these other types of creatures. So a warlock is almost like a paladin for these non-godlike creatures.
Yeah, I think maybe there's one important distinction, and it's the way that warlocks, to me, are sort of set up, is that there is always some price to be exacted, right?
Yeah.
In service to these patrons. Whereas I feel like maybe, with paladins, maybe, they're more, motivated by maybe temple life or, some other social situation, not necessarily this, disconnected, non-existent imaginary friend, if you will, right?
Well, except in this universe, unlike our own, in this universe, they pray for something and it happens.
Right.
So when they say thoughts and prayers, it's like, yeah, fuck yeah, thoughts and prayers.
It's actually a thing.
It's actually a thing. Like, holy shit, it did something. So the warlock, otherworldly patron, can be Archfey, the Fiend, or the Great Old One. These are the three options in the player's handbook. So the Archfey sounds a lot like the Oath of the Ancients. They're both fey creatures that tied more to nature, it seems.
Mm-hmm.
The Fiend is going to be your devils, your demons and devils, your underworld, nine hells kind of creatures that are
Right.
there packed with you.
All the fun ones.
All the fun ones.
Right.
And then the Great Old One. And the Great Old One's like, yeah.
I love this.
What does that sound like to you, the Great Old One?
Oh, the Cthulhu.
Yes.
That whole mythos.
But in a very specific and non-trademark infringing way, right?
Of course not.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course
No
not.
trademark
Yeah.
infringed there. It's Cthulhu, obviously, but H.P. Lovecraft family can't sue us, so it's, it's the old one.
But I think I like. I think some of the times those folks maybe tying this sort of to the Game of Thrones universe. Maybe one of these folks is sort of like what's this? I'm blanking on it right now. But the name of the island where the Greyjoys are from.
The Iron Islands.
The Iron Islands, right?
Yeah.
You know, the what is dead may never die. That whole mantra.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
there's I'm looking forward to reading more about that creature that probably did exist in some way. They're saying in the canon, right?
Yeah, well, that could be my 1 hour diatribe.
I've actually had the people that I talk to that don't play any of these games but want to know more about just geek fandom in general have been asking me, like, have you done a Game of Thrones episode? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. So I would like to get a reunion of this group and do a Game of Thrones episode at some point, because we still haven't unpacked everything really since the season's been over.
Yeah, I think no from the season for sure. But I'll be honest, I'm still reeling from Fire and Blood, the latest novel that was produced. Just the amount of stuff in there that's there to unpack is, I mean, it's tons of content there. I feel like to touch on. Okay,
I'll have to finally get around and open it up. I've got this stack of books that I haven't gotten to yet.
Yep.
So that's on the list to talk about the Kraken and the Iron Islands. But that's the three types of fiends. So my suspicion going into the open, the way it was worded, it says there are 3 infernal pact warlocks. So that makes me suspect that they're probably all going to be the fiend as their pact master.
Yeah.
And then there's
that's their assumption, yeah.
And then there's 3 types of pacts they can make. The pact of the tome, the pact of the blade, and the pact of the chain.
Right.
So Matt, do you want to talk about those?
Sure, yeah. So, pact of the chain, I think, again, I like how there's like just the basic build, what everybody might think a stereotypical warlock might be. This is your shadowy figure who may have some kind of familiar companion, and they really kind of highly encourage that in the player's handbook by sort of expanding the list of familiars you could have beyond what maybe your run-of-the-mill wizard might get. You could have, an imp or a pseudo-dragon or a sprite sort of as your familiar, right? Maybe this invisible little thing that's literally whispering in your ear all the things you might not have thought of on your own to sort of serve the evil.
Yeah, I could see it being like a great fun role play to have your anytime you start straying from the path of your fiend boss, that your imp would be whispering in your ear, "I'm going to tell on you. You better do the other thing instead."
Right.
That's great.
Kind of like a nanny cam.
Exactly.
It's straight to the netherworld. Yeah.
It's like your like Ring doorbell for that you put on your warlock to make sure it's.
The second build is the Pact of the Blade Warlock, and I've played with this a little bit, but always have had it very near the top of my list to really do a proper build here, because I think it's a nod to previous editions, the Hexblade Warlock, who's really, and I mean, this is a totally different thing than you would expect a magic user to be, right? Like, this is a melee combat, maybe, type thing, where his major power is just summoning this magical weapon that can take all the different forms at any time, and just, being able to wade into battle. You can never be parted from it. Maybe in certain situations it's you need a whip, or in certain situations you want a battle axe, right? And that's always sort of at your disposal due to your pact with these this terrible patron, right?
Yeah. I love the thought of the image they have in at least one of the players' handbooks is this like tiefling in spiked black armor, and it's got a sword in one hand and a wand in the other hand. It just looks like a total badass, just ready to just cause a lot of harm.
Yeah, I kind of pictured like the way the Green Lantern kind of like summons some sort of object that it uses to fight with.
Yeah,
and it's all very melee or physical in nature. Yeah. Just here's a giant hammer.
he can make anything he wants, but like in the old comics, he's always making like baseball mitts. Do you know what I mean? Like, the plane's crashing and he makes a giant baseball mitt. Instead of like, who knows? Anyway.
Hey, whatever works.
Whatever works. But that's such a great thing too. We were just dealing with our game Curse of Strahd the other night. They had those skulls that were resistant to piercing damage. Mm-hmm. So to have a weapon, you could immediately go from a rapier and turn it into a warhammer to suddenly do, a different damage type.
That's a lovely thought.
Yeah. So yeah, they remind me a bit of kind of like playing a thief with a hexblade. If you've got like a melee thief, a melee rogue, do you know what I mean? They get their hex damage and all those other kind of magic that they can do instead of doing backstab damage and different magical defenses. But I think they, glass cannon still, but yeah, a glass cannon that can do a ton of damage up close.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the other things I kind of like about this build is it really makes you think about where to put your strong abilities, right? Because although you have this blade, you still have to have, if you want to wield a hammer, you still have to be strong, right?
Yeah, it's still a strength weapon.
Right. So you have this, like, do I dump all my points into, charisma to be a strong spellcaster, or do maybe I hedge my bets a little bit and really lean on this Pact of the Blade and go strength or dex so I can use some kind of weapon a little bit more effectively, right?
Yeah, you'd have to pick one. Either you a finesse weapon, but there aren't a lot of finesse weapons out there for close combat. I mean, you've got, I guess is the quarterstaff finesse weapon? I don't remember. I don't know. No, I don't think it is.
I don't think so. Yeah, it probably has to be a short sword, maybe.
Yeah, what bludgeoning finesse weapons are there?
Yeah, I can't think of any off the top of my head. And I think that's, but I sort of always want this maybe a little more balanced character, or a character that's like not great at one thing but pretty good at two things, being a little more diverse, right? I think that's an interesting way to play, be a a bigger set of keys for different situations, right?
Yeah. Can hang back and just fire off spells, until it's time to get in a fight, or when you get hurt in the fight, you can jump back and then start shooting spells.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, at least have that option.
Yeah.
Unless you're changed to your paladin, in which case
You're screwed.
Sorry.
And then the last Pact of the Tome. And I know, Matt, you said this was the one that you were most interested in.
I love this just because immediately upon taking the Pact of the Tome, you get this Book of Shadows, which is pretty akin to a wizard's spell book, but sort of like the Pact of the Blade. You can't really be parted from it, right? It's sort of specific to you, and if you die, it turns to ash. But it gives you this expanded ability to cast spells and to pull spells from all the various different classes where you might not have access to them otherwise.
That is so cool. And it's just cantrips, right?
It is. But if you're feeling a little limited with the Warlock spell list, let me just pick 3 cantrips from wherever I want.
Wherever, clerics.
And I can use charisma to cast them, right?
Yeah.
It's super cool, I think.
Yeah, you want to take a bard spell. Anybody's spell book, you can take 3 cantrips from anywhere. The first one that popped in my head was guidance.
Mm-hmm.
That's such a fun, easy, and to be able to at will just give somebody a D4 to any kind of check. That's pretty awesome.
It is awesome, and I mean, Mark and Adam, we played in the Open last year. We had, or I don't know if it was the Open, it was one of the games we played in. There was the guy at the table who was just the best playing of a cleric I've ever seen in cooperative play. Like, we didn't know this guy at all, but he was just blessing and giving guidance left and right. And it was just, he did totally unselfish, just using every turn to make sure everybody else was getting their optimal chance. And it was so great to have a person like that just handing out the assists,
When you're talking about a D20, to bump the roll by 1 to 4 points, that's, it doesn't seem that big when you look at it at first, but then to think about, it's not taking a spell slot. You can just at will guidance and just boom. Every time you're like, oh, you got another death save coming, guidance.
Yeah, and I think the nice thing is at lower levels especially, it's a really big swing, right? When everybody doesn't have the big pluses that are kind of skewing your numbers one way. Mm-hmm. Having that, if your plus is only a 3 or a 4 at lower levels, you get a whole range of your entire ability bonus right at the front, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the Pact of the Tome is the most flexible possible version. Just kind of leaves the door wide open to all kinds of creative and interesting builds. And I think that's why I've never really quite recovered from that build. It's a ton of fun.
Most classes in lower levels, like you're saying, you only have maybe 3 or 4 cantrips to right off the bat have twice as many cantrips as everybody else. So many. It's just a box full of different types of silver bullets. You've got an answer to every situation.
That is so useful. I really like this one now. Just looking at it.
Yeah.
And I think it's super important for Warlocks too, because maybe the other thing that we should mention, which makes them pretty unique, is their actual spell slots to cast bigger spells are extremely limited, right? They don't get, clerics have, 5, 6, 7, 8 times a day they can cast spells. Wizards the same, sorcerers, all these, right? But Warlocks only, up until the higher levels, only ever get to cast 2 spells that take slots, and you always cast them at the highest level. So having this just wide variety of cantrips is just really critical. It's a nice different spin on the magic users in D&D overall.
Yeah, it's something. It's very unique, very different than the rest.
Absolutely, and that's what I like is the flavor, the spread, the way they've kind of leveraged the whole 5e magic system, which I think is terrific, into just different ways to apply it. I think it's one of the best features of this 5th edition.
So, let's talk strategy then. So we know that going into the open, there's 4 of us, and we've decided that we're each going to take one class and focus on it. So to prepare for the open, we were talking about trying to get in some games playing as those classes. But I'd also like to get some role-playing in. Do you guys want to create a pair of Paladins and a pair of Warlocks, and we'll try and get some games in with those prior to the open?
That sounds incredible.
Yeah, that sounds like that's something we need to do.
Yeah, I think so as well.
Do you guys still want to be Paladins?
Yeah, I'm game for that.
I do. Yeah.
How about you? Do you still want to do Warlock, Adam?
Oh yeah, I'm totally happy doing a Warlock. I mean, that
Adam
sounded
Warlock?
wrong. I mean, I'll be glad to play as a Warlock.
Sure.
Come on, those Warlocks have high charisma, buddy. You don't know. You don't know.
Maybe I know.
They're kind of persuasive.
They do have all those charm spells and friend spells and.
So will these characters be pre-generated for us when we get there? And so essentially we'll just be, hoping that we practice what we want, and then that's an option for us to take.
That's the trick. Yep. So I think one of the things Nicholas and we need to buckle down, study the Paladins, and just how they play. But I think it's going to be advantageous to us as well to learn the Warlock as well. Just we know how Matt and Adam are going to be reacting to certain situations, so we can kind of get ahead of the game on that.
Yeah, and know how in a role play situation. I know it's a competitive situation, but in a role play situation in general, I don't necessarily want to tell you what to do with your turn. But if I know what you can do, and I know how you think, I can plan ahead and think, oh well, I've got a hex I can put on this guy. The hex spell says something like, I can give him disadvantage on one particular type of defense. And say I know that your best attack requires a wisdom save. So I can use my hex on my turn, give him disadvantage on wisdom saves, so your turn comes around and bam, we can synchronize.
That's perfect. Yeah. I think that's the ideal. I think that's what we're really shooting for right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like the idea, kind of a one-shot situation too beforehand, so we can just kind of sort all that out and be a little bit more open than we might be if we were a little stricter on role playing, right? And playing characters true.
Yes, but I'd still like to role play these characters. I'd like to make some characters tonight, and let's role play these characters all weekend, and hopefully we can do get two wins. We'll get warmed up and ready for the open, and have some fun, silly characters we can talk about afterwards.
That sounds great.
Do you want to go old school and actually roll our stats?
Oh my god, I haven't done that in a while. I've been using standard array so long. I think it might be fun to see how bad or good this guy's genes are. Right?
Do you want to go super crazy? They have that random character builder on D&D Beyond. I've been you just hit that button, you just say create random character, and it will do everything, and you don't know what you get. The first time I did it, I ended up with a half-elf warlock that had a 12 charisma and an 18 strength.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So it is random. They're not trying to...
There's no optimizing, right?
No, nothing in it. Nothing about it was optimized. None of the spells were anything offensive or defensive. They were all the spells were taken up with social or support spells. No, nothing that would actually make them better in a fight.
So
I love it.
Yeah, that actually sounds a lot of fun, because all of this will be pre-built for us when we get there. All of those stats will be set in the pre-built character.
Yes.
So actual open, yeah.
Yeah, sounds to me like I'll just go with a random build and learn how to play from there.
As much as I think it's fun, maybe we should try to get a little bit of optimizing.
Will they optimize for us, or is it going to be a completely random build from them?
From them for the open? I don't think it's going to be completely random. I don't think they'll do that. I think they'll give us at least maybe not a min-max build.
Yeah.
But they'll all be not subpar.
Okay.
Yeah, that I would anticipate there'll be builds that make some sense, right? And I think on the episode where you had the folks that were organizing on, for instance, they alluded to that there might be a tiefling warlock in there, which would be a pretty optimized choice, right? Because they get bumps to charisma, and the warlocks are going to need charisma for spell casting, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So I'm planning to make a. I think I'll make a tiefling warlock. That's Pact of the Chain warlock. And I'll give that a try.
Nice.
What oath are you leaning towards, Mark?
I'm not sure yet. Let me get back to you here.
I feel like
Just debating between a few. How about you, Nicholas? What's catching your eye?
I think Oath of Vengeance kind of has intrigued me.
I have an Oath of Vengeance paladin that I've played, and it's fun. I mean, they're not like, none of them are wildly different, but that one, you can still get everything else, lots of good stuff no matter which one you take. But that one, I think it just gets a little extra. It's meant to be right in the fight. It's meant to be the tanky, damage dealing front row guy.
Yeah, but I'm open. So, Mark, if you feel like you want to do that, then I can always take another one.
What are you guys thinking?
I haven't played a human in a while. I was thinking I might go super flexible and do a human Pact of the Tome warlock, and just have all this ability to sort of move my bonuses around and have different cantrips and stuff there. I think that might be an interesting thing to play with.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun.
So we want to roll some stats first, or do we want to kind of get races and classes lined up?
Well, I think I got my race and class lined up.
And I should also say, anyone looking to sort of maybe stick their toe in the water for D&D, or maybe folks that are just getting accustomed to it, I mean, there is no better tool, in my opinion, than D&D Beyond, and it's not like they're a sponsor or anything, but
it's almost completely free. The rules are free. Yeah, everything on there is free unless you want to get into like the specialized stuff, or if you want to get the extra books, then you're spending money on the site. All the basic stuff is free.
It's worth it. Just buy it all. Just the legendary bundle. Just do it.
It's like $500, I think, right now.
It's a small price to pay.
For how many books it is, if you were actually buy those books retail, it is probably like a big savings.
Yeah, and I think, I used, 2 years ago, I would have been a guy that told you I wanted the physical book in my hand all the time.
Right.
Then I went to Dragoncon and carried 6 books around for 4 days.
Right.
Had to have my chiropractor solve some problems, and you know what? Maybe a laptop's a better choice.
Why don't we roll our stats?
And we're going to do the 4d6 method from the playbook and drop the low.
Yeah. So just, I think we all need charisma, right? Don't paladins need charisma too?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, let's hope that last roll is a good one.
Ooh, that's a lot of ones.
Oh. Well, you're rolling your strength first, right? That's not bad.
Are we rolling them in order, or are we going to pick them?
Oh, no, roll them in order.
All
I'm
right.
just kidding. We should probably do at least one. Not super happy with my roll so far.
We're going to come back and be like, standard array is much better for many reasons.
So you roll 4 dice and you take the top 3, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeesh. I've rolled a 6 yet.
Yeah, me either.
Oh, there we go. Ah, nice.
Well, my highest roll was a 13.
Oh boy.
I think it'll still be, at least I won't have any 8s in there if I was doing the standard array.
Ooh, there we go. All right.
Actually, not doing too bad.
How about that?
I don't know what to do with that.
It's all downhill from here.
Yeah, true. Thanks. Yeah, I usually roll my dice wrong. I don't know how to do it, but
Were you done with your rolling before you started talking trash?
yeah, I made sure of that.
So what do we think? 1 swap, 2 swaps? Leave it
Eat
as
it.
is.
Eat it.
Why don't you just eat it?
How many rolls do we do?
6 total.
Ooh. And what do you mean by swaps?
So if you're doing like the standard array and the character builder, what you usually do is you have the range of numbers, and it's like 8, 10, 12, 13, 15, 13, 14, 15, something like that. And you decide where you want them to go. I want to put the 12 in strength, and I want to put the 15 in charisma. That's what I mean by like the standard array. That's how you do it.
Right.
We rolled these in order, so I was thinking swaps, as in move one of those rolls to a different ability.
Yeah. Okay.
I can live with it how it is. I didn't have any high rolls, but I have any low rolls.
Yeah, mine's in pretty good shape. I feel like swapping will probably just make it worse, so I'm gonna go with what I got.
What about you, Mark?
My lowest roll was a 10.
Hey,
Nice.
So it was basically I rolled 2 14s, 2 15s, and 2 10s.
Oh,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a 13, 15, 8, 15, 11, and 12.
Nice.
oh, you're balanced. That's nice. You're not gonna have any weak points.
The 8 is a weak point.
Oh
that's,
yeah.
That's spot for 3. I don't know what that means.
That'd be your constitution if we do it in order.
Yeah. So
I ended up with 13, 10, 11, 12, 11, 10.
nice. All right.
So nothing great, nothing terrible. It's just that 10 in the charisma that's irking me. So the most I'll have is 12 with the charisma bonus.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got super lucky and rolled an 18 on my charisma.
No.
Nice.
I really did. Like I was complaining, and then all of a sudden it was like, boom! That last slot popped up 18.
So yeah, you're gonna be crushing it with those spells.
Oh man, tieflings get charisma and intelligence as a +1. Is that right?
That's right. If you're doing a standard tiefling build, there's lots of other. There's like 100 tiefling subclasses. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Variant tiefling.
Well, I'm excited. I think when Descent into Avernus comes out, there might be some Warlock builds that we haven't seen yet.
Ooh, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
A little bit more flavor to that.
They're kind of due. They haven't put any more pacts out since the Player's Handbook, so it feels like that needs.
Well, the
some more-
Hexblade is kind of like a.
Yeah,
That's in the Sword Coast one.
forgot about that. Yeah. Are you gonna go? You said you're going Archfey, Adam.
No, I'm gonna do Fiend.
You're into the Fiend.
Yeah. Why do you think our group is traveling together?
2 Paladins, 2 Warlocks.
The story that comes to mind with this, I just go back, and I know recently they had a show about it, but one of my favorite books by Neil Gaiman and
Yes.
Terry Pratchett, the Good Omens.
Yeah, that was fun. I still haven't watched the last episode. I never even watched that, but I read the book. And I love the book. Love the good, irreverent British humor.
Yeah. It's just a classic. It's so much fun.
I don't know. Maybe we're traveling together. Maybe we're sort of in the aftermath of a big battle, and the battle's kind of died down, but we're sort of lost and separated from our different units, and we're trying to get out of somewhere sticky. So we're kind of forced to band together.
I like that. Like we were on opposite sides of the battle.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what's left is a wilderness that's hostile to us both, to us all.
Right. Tons of morally and ethically decisions to be made there, I feel like.
So when we apply our ability scores, are we going with the manual method?
Yeah, if you're using D&D Beyond, that's what you do. You go with the manual method and just type those numbers in. So do you think we should start at a higher level?
I'm guessing, well, if we're thinking about this in terms of prep, probably get level 5 characters. I don't know that for sure, but I would guess.
I would say 3 to 5.
Yeah.
Probably 5. Do you remember what level we were?
I think it was 5.
Yeah.
Honestly, because I think 5 gets you over the hump. It gives you a lot of the abilities, but you don't really become powerhouses. I think that's right in that area.
Yeah, I think they said we start at 5.
You do. Okay.
Yeah, and some of and especially the Warlock builds, man, they are so squishy at like the lower levels. Just like they can't, the armor is difficult and all this other stuff, right? So I feel like a level 2 or level 3 Warlock, I've had them die a handful of times. So I feel like they probably don't want that to be anybody's experience. You just keep dying in the open.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Like we just did these new characters for starting with Will and Jamie, and it was starting at level 1, and we're like fighting goblins and stuff, and it's like yikes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You get one good roll in there, and it's like, oh guys, I'm almost down. Run away.
Yep.
I think Willa's half elf was like 7 HP or something at level 1 or something.
Yeah.
Oh wow! Just
7 or 8. Yeah.
Yeah, like one arrow was like 1d6 plus 1 or something like that. So you could. Yeah.
Well, and you don't get bumped up to level 2 until after you clear that whole initial cave.
Yeah,
that's tough. That's what.
Yeah.
That's tough.
That starter set gave us some fits when we first tried to play it.
It's rated pretty high. I was reading some article about like the top rated D&D are from like years and years ago, and this one was actually rated pretty high.
Yeah, Delver.
Yeah,
it's really well done.
I want to check out the new one too, the Essentials kit.
Yeah, that looks good. Got to go to Target for that, right?
Yeah, until September. So
okay, all right, good. Yep. Not even that. So
do we want to do that? Our characters, we are behind enemy lines, and we've been forced to band together.
I like that. I like the idea that we were in some sort of conflict or scuffle, but maybe something bigger came along.
Yeah.
Maybe to kind of tie the room together, we all take the soldier background, perhaps.
Well, I was going to take criminal spy.
Okay.
Because I feel like spy, it's still like, attached to the army, whatever unit. But spy.
I took knight.
Yeah, that fits.
Now I do have to say, guys, I am going to have to go retire here in a moment. Unfortunately, my day is going to begin real early again.
Oh my God, you were such an animal.
We didn't, so so we're going to try it again tomorrow.
Yeah. Is that a train going by your house?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that your train? Is that your ride to work?
It is actually, yeah. I ride the train like a hobo, like a murder hobo.
I think, Mark. I think you should hit the random name button on D&D Beyond before you leave. You don't have to keep it, but I think that's what we're going to call your character once you leave.
All right. Well, I got a man here, so we're going with a paladin, knight background. Got pretty good stats here. I'm going to go ahead and start fleshing them out. But here we go with the randomized character name. Oh no. It's my character's name is Alexis Deathswallow.
Yeah, it is.
That is amazing.
I think we might have to keep that one.
Alexis Deathswallow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Did you go with human?
I did.
Yeah.
Yes.
Were we all supposed to go with human?
No, you do whatever you want.
Yeah, whatever.
All right, well, get some sleep, Mark.
All right, fellas, roll well, and I want to hear your names tomorrow, so put them in the group chat, all right?
Absolutely.
Sounds good.
I think everybody needs to randomize their name now.
I'm going. Deal.
Awesome. All right, fellas, I'll get in touch in the tomorrow at some point, but not first thing.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks, dude.
All right.
All right.
Bye.
See ya.
Dragonborn.
Ooh, nice.
That's a lot of fun. I have a heavily armored Dragonborn model. I keep meaning to paint, and I just haven't got around to painting it. But yeah, the thought of a Dragonborn Paladin is so cool. And have that breath weapon.
Yeah.
What color dragon?
And then we're going to go green. So that'll give me poison damage and a 15-foot cone with a Constitution save.
Nice. That's good. So if I know I've got my hex coming up, I can hex somebody's Constitution, and then you can just blast them with your poison.
Yeah. Well, 1/2.
And Matt, you said you're going human, right?
I did. I went variant human.
So you take a
Yes.
feat. What feat?
Well, maxing out what I think is the coolest part of Warlocks, the Eldritch Blast spell, which normally would have 120-foot range, but by taking Spell Sniper, I double that range. So I'm now shooting bolts of force that are 240 feet in range.
There's other benefits too, right?
Well, I guess all of my cantrips are double their range.
Nice. So Spell Sniper double.
And then and then I also got to pick another cantrip too. So that was nice. So I'm really super heavy on cantrips, which I think is real neat in terms of being a warlock, because they can sometimes feel a little you're just doing Eldritch Blast over and over. You know what I mean? Yeah, but so I'm sort of anticipating that and trying to get a little more diversity in this character.
The Eldritch invocations, right? You get the Agonizing Blast.
Yeah, so you get to add your Charisma mod to Eldritch Blast, right?
Yep.
And then we're doing level 5 builds, right? Yeah. That's what we said. So then I did that, and then I guess I did a little bit backwards, but then for the 4th level thing, I went ahead and maxed out my Charisma. So
up to 20 Charisma?
I'll be doing. Yeah. Because I rolled that lucky 18. So I'm all the way up there. So my Eldritch Blasts are 1d12 plus 5.
Nice. And then, Nicholas, which oath do you think you're going to go with?
I think I'm going to do the Oath of Vengeance.
Nice.
That's what I'd like to do.
Yeah, do it.
As a paladin, am I looking to stats? Am I looking to increase? You know what I mean? My abilities, like which abilities am I looking to grow?
Are you thinking like melee based combat?
If so,
I was thinking so.
You're thinking more like a tank. You want to be able to heavy armor and shield, or you want to do more like do the maximum amount of damage possible and be like a great weapon, two-handed weapon.
I see. Yeah. I started playing this fighter, this human fighter, with Jamie and Willa, and I like the ability that I can go like two-handed, or not two-handed, but wield 2 weapons. Granted, I guess a two-handed weapon, you just do a lot more damage. The one blow. As a fighter, I was able to add my ability modifier to my damage on my second weapon attack. Oh, because my efficiency or proficiency was like two-handed weapons or something. Or skill or something like that.
Fighter ability.
Yeah. So maybe two-handed weapon would be better unless we need a tank. I guess Mark's already playing a tank at our other one, right? Isn't that what he is? Kind of a tank, or no? That's Clark.
Yeah, but Clark does a lot of damage too. He does kind of both.
Yeah.
So you get to choose.
Well, yeah.
Very similar to with a fighter, you get to choose a fighting style at 2nd level with a paladin. So you get to choose defense, dueling, great weapon fighting, or protection. So defense, you get a +1 to your AC when you're wearing armor.
Okay.
Dueling, when you're wielding a melee weapon in one hand and no other weapons, you get a +2 bonus to damage rolls with that weapon.
Okay.
Great weapon fighting, when you roll a 1 or 2 on a damage die for an attack you make with a melee weapon that you are wielding with 2 hands, you can re-roll the die and must use the new roll. The weapon must have the two-handed or versatile property for you to gain the benefit. So it's something for you to pay attention to in combat, but nice to roll 1s and 2s. And then the last one's protection. When a creature you can see attacks a target other than you that is within 5 feet of you, you can use your reaction to impose disadvantage on the attack roll. You must be wielding a shield.
Yeah. Too many good.
When you think of your Dragonborn, you just close your eyes. What's he holding? He or she?
I feel like I like the duelers. I like the dueling one you were talking about. That's I like. Well, Do I?
You could still
Yeah.
hold a shield. This is when you're not holding a weapon in the other hand. So it's saying if you're
Right. So, in that sense, but I also like that defensive one where it says you're getting an extra AC.
+1 AC that's just across the board all the time.
And see, I feel like I could do that, get some extra AC from my armor, and then like dual wield weapons. That way, I'm like attacking twice. But
That's a nice tank build. Nice stacking the AC. Yeah.
yeah, that way I'm not holding the shield. I can just get the benefit from the armor,
Yeah.
and then I can still try and do some damage. I like that build. I think to me that's what I picture when I close my eyes.
So what weapons does this dragon like to wield? This dual wielding dragonborn.
I get 2 martial weapons, right?
That's the basic, yeah. But you can. I don't think there are any restrictions on what you can actually put if it's a common item.
What? So the war pick. What is that? Is that what kind of damage does that
I'm
do?
not familiar with the damage. If I had to guess, it's probably a D8. But I think a war pick is kind of like a pickaxe that's been, but it's like a Warhammer pickaxe.
It is 1d8 piercing.
Piercing. Because I like the idea of like piercing or slashing and then like bludgeoning. Like having one or the other. That way, if you do get something that takes one, but not, that has resistance to one, and I can still hit it with the other one.
Oh, you didn't pick a background yet for your character either. Sometimes a background will have a benefit that helps you in these choices. The background will usually come with a couple free skills as well, proficiencies.
Okay. I would have already chosen that,
It doesn't
correct?
matter. You can do it now. It's a process.
That would be back in the description?
Yeah, if you go
Is that
across
right?
the top, it's in the description.
I said soldier.
You did?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know the sailor and the pirate both come, I think, with a belaying pin, which I thought was a funny little, characterful thing, because it's basically a club.
I couldn't choose those. I can only choose a limited
I
background.
wonder if it's because of maybe I purchased something, like I purchased the player's handbook through D&D Beyond.
I see.
But soldier is great, and it makes total sense with what we're doing. Were you thinking of something other than that?
No, I heard you guys said maybe we were all coming together from fighting or something like that. I think that fits.
I know Mark said he was going to be a knight.
Okay.
Was a knight an option for you?
No, mine was acolyte, criminal, spy, folk hero, haunted one, noble, sage, soldier.
The soldier gives you some skill options that are also in the paladin or proficiency list. So that gives you flexibility at least there that you can opens it up for you to choose different proficiencies. I think you're automatically, if you take soldier, I think you get athletics as a proficiency right off the bat. What background did you take, Matt?
I definitely went with soldier. Yeah, I felt like that felt pretty true.
All right. So now I should go back in and up myself to level 5.
Yeah. Under the class area there. You know where it is.
Yeah. Then it should tell me all the things I need to do.
Yes.
Fighting style. Defense. That's what I was going to do, right?
Yeah.
Sacred Oath. I'll choose the... So I've got the player's handbook physical copy, but on D&D it won't let me choose. It says I need to.
Yeah, and I created a campaign, which I don't know, and if that's what we were trying to figure out a while ago. If I share everything in there, then you guys should be able to at least see the stuff.
If we do you need to send us a link to invite us to join your campaign?
Yes, and I just put it in the Dragoncon channel. I think when you click that, then it'll bring up a list of your characters, and you can highlight one and then add it to that campaign. Boziba,
Laughing Slayer.
Yes.
All right. Now let's see what I can do.
Sragrax.
Awesome.
What is with this last name? Goodness gracious.
That was the random name picker. Sumnar Gatherish.
Sumnar Gatherish. That's a fucking warlock name.
Oh man, you found a picture for yourself already, Adam.
Nice.
I wanted to see if I took a picture, if that made any difference with the name. I don't know if it did or not. You guys have these nice long names. I just got the got a few letters. Got 7 letters.
Now I have all the choices. Oath of Vengeance.
The choices now. All the choices.
There you go. That's what $500 get you.
All the choices.
So yeah, we gotta always. That's our trick then for making stuff from now on. Is we gotta always just add them to Strahd.
About 36 characters in the campaign.
Yeah.
That's fine.
So, what's better to choose, a feat or an improvement?
It's a tough call.
What would the feats? Are those under
In the
Paladin?
player's handbook, you can see all the feats. It's a separate chapter.
Okay.
It may even be better to just look at it through Beyond because you'll have 10,000 more choices too because you'll get all the other books.
Depends.
But yeah, there's a bunch of feats.
It depends on what you want to do. So, do you want to? If you were to take the ability score improvement, it's going to give you for 2 points. It's probably going to be just a +1 to 1 stat, or if you've got a couple that are odd numbers. Like, what are your stats right now?
What do I got? I've got 15 because of the Dragonborn. I get +2 to my strength, so that gave me 15 for my strength, 15 for my dex, 8 for Constitution, which is giving me a -1 right now. My modifier.
Not
18 on Intelligence, 11 on Wisdom, 13 on Charisma.
Wow.
So it sounds like maybe I need to get that Constitution up a bit.
Yeah, I would say bump up your con for sure.
Yeah, because for every level, it's a -1 hit point.
And I think I got like what I think is a good rule. Like if you want to roll your character, but then you come up with something that's less than the standard array, I feel like you should just be allowed to go ahead and take the standard array because it's just going to be
the standard array.
Is there more than 1 8? Oh, but it's because he took them in order.
Yeah.
That's why.
If you want to, you should move that. I think 1 swap's fair.
Swap that 8 to like your dex, maybe.
Or intelligence.
Intelligence is 15.
Yeah.
That's what you want your con to be.
Yeah, you need to swap those.
Mm. Is that cheating?
I don't think so. We're nobody's looking.
Yeah, nobody's looking, and that's hardcore rules too. Like rolling them, if you know what class you're going to be in, you have to roll them in a row.
Yeah, it's pretty normal to just roll the 6 attributes and then assign the numbers. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, then I might change around maybe some of my skill proficiencies.
Yeah.
Because if I'm not very smart, I had added history as one of my skill proficiencies, but there's no sense in taking that if I go to an 8 on my head.
No.
Well, you could still pass that. It depends on your philosophy. Do you want to be, if you think you have to make the check, history is not one of the ones you think you're going to have to make a check very often, but perception is something you have to do a lot. So if I have a low wisdom, then that's when I feel like I have to take perception or if I have low intelligence, I have to take investigation because I don't know when I'm going to be the one that's by myself having to do those skill checks to like solve a problem. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah, hopefully you won't be like on a solo mission needing a history check. That sounds like a much more well-rounded, balanced character now, and definitely someone that's going to be tough to fight. So you have a lot of odd number results. So I think spending the points, Matt, let me know if you feel the same way. If you're thinking of a feat, that'd be better. Mm-hmm. But if you've got all those 15s, a 16 gets you a +1. Mm-hmm. So I would bump up 2 of those 15s.
Strength.
Yeah, I would go strength and con probably.
If you're going to be a hand-to-hand 2-weapon fighter, then yeah.
All right.
And the other option would be, I guess you could always bump your charisma too, which will help out with your paladin spells.
At 5th level, I can attack twice.
Yeah.
So that's
every time.
Every time
With both hands.
I think the second attack is a bonus action. I think. Okay. Correct me if I'm wrong, Matt.
No, yeah, that's right. You get 2 attacks with your main hand, and no matter how many number of attacks you can get on your turn, you only ever get 1 bonus action. Okay. And the offhand attack is a bonus action.
Yep. All right. Sweet.
This guy sounded pretty nasty.
I don't want to fight him.
Did you do a random name?
Yeah, it's in there. It's Zragrax Sumanargathrish.
if you came up with that name, I wanted you to name every one of my characters forever now, because that would be some creative shit.
Matt, what's your character's name?
I just had it up here. Let's see. Buziba Laughing Slayer.
Laughing Slayer?
Laughing Slayer.
Oh, that's awesome.
I like it. Ooh, I forgot about that.
What's that?
That Warlock benefit, the Dark One's Blessing. Did you get that one?
I think so. It comes with the Fiend, right?
I think that's where it came from. Yeah, I couldn't remember. Basically, if you kill somebody, you get temporary hit points.
That's nice.
Yeah.
So let's talk about these characters. We're going to figure it out as we go, but I am a Pact of the Chain Warlock with a criminal spy background. And so I'm assuming my character was recruited as a scout for this war. And tieflings have darkness ability. They can have different abilities to charm and have the friends cantrip, stuff like that. I haven't looked at my actual spell list yet, but I'm assuming that's what my character's role was, to infiltrate and spy and report back. And I'm Pact of the Chain, so I have a familiar that I use to help me with my scouting and spying and reporting back. So I feel like that's what my background is and what my character's been doing in this war. What about you, Matt?
And what is your character's name?
For the actual pronunciation, I'm deciding if I'm going to pronounce the X like you would with the word xylophone, or if I should just say X. But the name I'm thinking is Exarachus. Yeah.
I like it. Well, I am Buziba Laughing Slayer, and I am a Pact of the Tome human warlock, and following in the yes and tradition of what Adam just said, I feel like maybe Buziba was the one who met you in a tavern at some point and recruited how do I say it again? Exarachus. Exarachus maybe said, hey, there's this great mercenary gig you should get in on. It looks like you know what you're doing, and the dark side is strong with you.
I like it. Do you think we have the same patron?
Would we even? I think Buziba would say, whether he did or not, he's the kind of guy who'd be like, oh, we're the same patron.
Well, I don't know if warlocks go around telling people,
right,
who their patron is like gives people power over them.
Yeah. There's so let's go with we said yes, but that doesn't mean anything.
And what about? Can you say your character's name, Nicholas?
It's Zaragrax. Zaragrax Sumer Githrish. Yep.
There's a lot of consonants in a row in that name.
There is a lot. Even if you count the Y as a consonant in this case, it's pretty longer.
But I like Zaragrax. That's a good name.
It is.
Great dragon name.
Yeah. I dig it.
What do you think his...
How did you get...
Well,
go ahead, Adam. Sorry.
You took the soldier background. Let's talk about the war. Let's flesh it out.
Yeah. I didn't really mention that I took the soldier background, and I guess we met behind enemy lines. Was that the deal?
So the Descent into Avernus that's coming out next month, and that's supposed to be part of what we're tied to. I think it'd be cool if we had kind of what this war was kind of related to that. So there's the city of Baldur's Gate is where we're going to be playing the Open. At least it's related to what we're doing with the Open. And that in Baldur's Gate there's gates into the Nine Hells. And so it's kind of an important place for those in the those sub-realms that want to have influence in the material plane. So maybe your guy was a soldier working for some kind of, I guess, army of with a divine purpose to try and close one of these gates. Maybe our army was trying to like open a gate of some kind.
Okay.
There's a war in the Nine Hells between the devils and the demons, and was that you saying it, Matt? Was that Mark that said the chaos and lawful?
Yeah, you're referring to the Blood War, which is alluded to in Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes. Not in any great detail, but they talk about this millennia's old war, which has been, the lines have been pushed back and forth across the 9 planes, back and forth between the demon lords and the devils. The devils being the lawful evil side of the spectrum, where they prefer to manipulate and do their will via infernal contracts and things like that, whereas the demon side is more just pure bloodlust and just the extinction of all order. And so kind of the vying between those two sort of visions for a bleak future is what's fueled this thing for thousands and thousands of years.
So I picture us, Matt, our characters being on the infernal, lawful evil side of that conflict.
I think so. I think so. I think maybe I'm something akin to a mercenary. There's some kind of contract maybe that I've signed into with this company to that maybe gets satisfied upon the achievement of some goal.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe we're all involved in this conflict, and maybe some demons, the other side of the Blood War, somehow came out of the gate, and so that's how we all end up on the same side. Now there's demons in play that want both of our separate factions destroyed.
Yeah, that sounds like great. Like this enemy of my enemy type of thing, right?
I think that's what we're going to be running into in the open, is that idea of the lawful good and the lawful evil having to team up against the chaotic evil.
Yeah, I think that's a terrific starting point. Anytime when maybe Nicholas's order and Mark's order sort of is charged with defending or just guarding these portals, but we've entered into this contract and we're trying to go down to reinforce the troops in the battle below. So we're sort of trying to fight our way in, and then all of a sudden the demons issue forth, right?
Yeah. Now there's no point in us trying to get in. There's no way for us to get in, and there's no point in the lawful good people trying to defend the gate because the gate's been overrun. Now we just have to worry about figuring out what's next now that this place has been overrun with chaotic evil demons.
I like it. Fighting on the streets of Baldur's Gate. Demons afoot. Who doesn't like a good demon killing?
Oh, man.
Yeah.
So many demons we're going to kill this weekend.
So, do we want to talk for a minute about Mark's character since he had to step aside?
Alexis?
That's the one.
Was it Demon Swallow?
Oh, I guess.
Death Swallow. Don't Demon Swallow.
Sword swallows. I don't know. There's a lot of swallowing.
Yep, that's what got us in trouble.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
well, listen, these paladin orders, it's you guys are in tight quarters, a long time. It's
like sailors at sea.
Listen. There's nothing. There's no judgment here.
What do you think? Do you think, Nicholas, that your character and Mark's character were already working side by side?
Yeah, that probably sounds pretty logical. I think that we would have, teamed up maybe a little bit more than the old enemy of my enemy kind of thing. Like we found a little bit of a kinship in that we both were somewhat headed in the right direction.
What do you think about our recruiters, Matt?
Well, so if we're going down the road of I sort of recruited you, I think, for my character, maybe to the side, maybe you know this, maybe you don't. maybe part of my contract was to also recruit others who were powerful in the dark arts. But maybe it's...
How did you get your contract?
Yeah, I think I want to go with just the I was given a nudge to step into a dark alley one day by my patron. Said, "Hey, don't turn right, turn left. Let's just see what happens." And once I stepped down there, there was an interaction there that said, "Your pact is being called. A payment is due. You're being sent to reinforce the troops below, and along the way, we need you to gather others." So I'm maybe working this pyramid scheme of warlocks or maybe evil inclined wizards and sorcerers that are willing to join the ranks down below.
So you said you recruited me.
Right.
What do I get?
Well, the pay is good. The food's not, yeah. And I don't know if that's appealing to you or not, but got this great gig. And all we got to do is get to Baldur's Gate, just get rid of some pesky paladins, and that's it.
That's it.
Yeah. I mean, who doesn't want to? If you're a warlock, who wouldn't want to just remove some paladins, self-righteous sons of bitches?
Mm-hmm.
I think that Zarakis, above all else, craves power. And I think power can be found amidst chaos. Chaos is opportunity. And so I see you as a being of chaos, and that I'm just waiting for the opportunity that comes from that chaos. Whether or not it's your benefit or your detriment, I think that opportunity will follow in your wake. So I'm definitely eager to see what shakes out.
Well, that sounds great, and I think now do warlocks spit in their palms, or do they just go straight to cutting palms and bloodletting, shaking, or...
I think because we have all these like infernal fire powers, I think we do like ET fingers. We just light our fingers and touch them.
Ouch.
Ouch.
I like that quite a bit. I think we're onto something here.
So say that we've been what are your thoughts, Zagrax?
Yeah, no, I think all that's great.
How do you think we ended up? So we're fleeing the demons. We're in the countryside. We're heading back into town. Why would we keep hanging out together?
So what connects the paladins to the warlocks?
Yeah, because we're the D&D Open. We're going to be literally shackled together. But I think if we play any other games between now and the Open, maybe we should not have that backstory. What if we were on the battlefield and actually fighting when some greater demon, like demigod level demon, showed up on the battlefield and somehow like Bamf teleported away all of the forces on both of our sides, and we don't know. Like there's people we reported to, people that were in charge that disappeared. So maybe there's some that like mystery is a reason for us to still cling to each other.
Yeah,
it's like this mass banishment or something, some unknown, incredibly powerful ritual or artifact that sort of reset the battle almost.
Yeah. I don't know why that would make you trust us, though. Yeah,
but we don't have to trust completely yet. Or I don't have to trust you completely.
Yeah.
Maybe it's, you tell me if this feels right, but maybe you're a bit honor bound, because let's say we're out there in the countryside and sort of one lone demon sort of gets the drop on you. And then maybe I give him the old Eldritch Blast before he was able to jump on you. And so maybe You owe me one, sort of, from your point of view. Now, from my point of view, I just missed.
Yeah. Yeah. But maybe if I'm a paladin, then maybe I believe that there's a little bit more of a reason for that miss.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Do you see is Zagrex a lawful good or more of a lawful neutral?
I think I wanted to slide a little bit more lawful neutral, maybe even like, I guess lawful evil probably wouldn't fit for a paladin.
Depends on what deity. I mean, paladins usually are a life of giving and service, but you said you're an Oath of Vengeance paladin, right?
Right. So maybe I'm beyond, like I'm a paladin, but the veil has kind of been lifted, and now I see beyond.
There's a lot of deities that are neutral. Hextor, I think is his name, Hextor. Hextor is, at least in the older books, he was the god of war. And so if your deity is the god of war, then you want to like, kind of like a country that finds the weakest pretext to go to war, just because they want to go to war.
Yeah.
That would be lawful evil.
Right.
You know, like, hey, they violated our borders, so I get to go to war with them. Not
Right.
So you're saying that because that doesn't necessarily have any sort of, I guess what's the word I'm thinking of? Like there's no moral compass to that's why it's evil.
No, I'm saying because if you want an excuse to go to war, that would be evil. You know, and the lawful would be like, I'm not going to go to war until I have a legal reason to go to war, but I'm really excited that I get to kill things.
Right. Whereas I guess if I'm taking an oath of vengeance, something has happened that I feel vengeful for. Right.
Yeah.
Is that kind of the premise there?
Yeah, I'm thinking of like darker heroes, you know, like definitely like a Batman is not, he's more like almost a true neutral. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Or like a Punisher. Those are two guys that are on the vengeance warpath.
Right. Correct. Or like a Deadpool.
Yeah.
But Deadpool, I would think, is probably, he's...
Do you know Ghost Rider?
Yep.
Spirit of Vengeance. Yeah, he punishment rarely met the crimes. Like he would, you know, there would be some kind of crime where, you know, some bad guys killed somebody, but then what he did to them afterwards, he would, you know, maybe he would kill some people, but then he would give them his penance stare, which drove people insane. So they would, you know, even more severe than the crime they'd committed.
Yeah, right.
And you've got that poison spray too.
Yeah. I feel like this guy would lean more towards that. I feel like this guy would lean more towards, he's not here to just right the wrong. He's here to right the wrong and
enjoy writing it
and feel complete writing it.
Yeah. And
I wouldn't say like enjoy, but you know, like I would say he feels complete.
And maybe that's the reason he's accepted this assignment to sort of guard this gate, right? Is like, if you're somebody that wants a war, there's no better place than to be in like just a couple of inches outside the demilitarized zone, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, that's definitely something that would bond us. If we all lost allies, you know, like even if I'm playing a totally self-serving, self-interested character, there still might be people I care about that maybe, you know, comrades that were lost in this whatever happened in this battle. Maybe your vengeance idea sounds pretty tempting. I could see going on the warpath, wanting to kill as many demons as possible.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. I'm going to be up all night, guys. I need to write a whole campaign around these characters because this is fucking awesome.
Let's keep this as a starting place, and then finish fleshing out those character sheets, and we'll keep back and forth on the Slack channel talking about this. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this is great.
What other Dragoncon prep? I know we've got some shirts were ordered. What else do we need to do to get ready for Dragoncon, Matt?
Well, I guess we were talking a little bit about, so one of the things with the Open is it is competitive D&D, more or less. Your table is balanced against other tables, and you're competing, and the dungeon master is assigning you points based on some unknown goals as you go through the the 10-hour day. And some of the goals are pretty straightforward, like don't die, kill lots of monsters.
That's the easy stuff,
right? Like these things fairly obvious, right? But there's some other stuff in there, but in pursuit of those easier goals that we know will be out there, I think one of the things that you have to think about going into that is, your speed of play. And as much as I love what we just did, all the role playing and the nobody even knew that these characters existed an hour ago, right? And now they're like these sketches of something that sounds like a ton of fun you can play with for hours. But in this kind of environment, the incentive is definitely to rip through the encounters as fast and efficiently as you can. And I think that means stuff like watching the players around you, not sort of like getting lost in the rule book during your turn, like knowing what the last guy did and where that monster is and anticipating your next move. And as soon as the DM pivots to you or your turn and the initiative comes up, you've got your dice ready to roll in your fist and they hit the table.
You already know what you're going to do before your turn happens.
You know exactly what's going to happen. You know what rolls are going to happen. If there's a spell save or something like that, you have it ready to go so that you can take your turn in the fastest manner possible. And then if everybody's sort of on that beat and finds that rhythm, then, that's the kind of things that'll make you pushed into that upper level of competitiveness, right?
And so that's where the play testing with these is going to come in. We need to try and get at least a couple games with these characters we're making today.
Definitely. But I think there's some simple tricks too, right? Like you and I talked about this when we played a couple of times, like, if your character has 2 attack rolls.
Roll them both.
And roll them both, roll your damage die at the same time, and have the damage die color-coded with your D20 so that you're not, if one misses and one hits, you're not cherry-picking damage, right? So it's really quick to go like, okay, I got a 15 and I got a 16. The DM says the 15 hits, the 16 doesn't. Okay, 10 damage. Boom, Nicholas, your turn, right? That kind of stuff makes all the difference if you're not fiddling around with math and things like that. And if you do that over the stretch, then you rip through encounters faster, you get into faster situations, and I think you'll ultimately find this really fun and fast-paced way of playing that will afford more time for the good stuff, which is the role-playing, right?
Mm-hmm. And there's going to be role-playing too.
Yeah, for sure. But it'll let you take that extra 5 minutes to explore that character moment as opposed to. And it won't be pecking through the rule book.
The characters that we make up, but they're like the last open. They had character backgrounds, and each character we had a character background, and there were characters in our character background that showed up in the story. Like Matt, your character was related to one of the villains.
Yeah. Yep. And if you didn't know that, if you didn't take a moment and take a few notes and weren't just ready to go as soon as that moment came along, then yeah, you'd miss an opportunity to score some points there.
There was one instant where I remember your character opened a door, and even though you were in disguise, your disguise immediately failed, and we didn't find out until afterwards the reason it failed is because the person in the room knew you already. You knew your character already.
Yeah.
So that was a factor too. And some of those points that you were talking about, those soft points, it was like, could you achieve this goal without being discovered? How many people saw you do it?
Right.
There were those things are happening in the background. One of those shortcut things you were talking about, focusing fire. If you've got 3 opponents,
right,
and there's 3 of us fighting them, we don't take one each. We double up. Like we all go together, take one off the table as quickly as possible.
Okay. Right.
Yes. And target whichever one is perceived to have which is easiest to kill, I guess would be the right way to phrase it, right?
Or the one that's causing the most, like the controller. You know what I mean? Like if someone's taking one of us out of the fight, get the controller off the table first.
Right, because you want to optimize rounds. That's the whole, is let us get more turns than them. Like if it means killing the weakest ones first, do that. But yeah, if there's somebody that's keeping the paladins from being more effective, then yeah, get them out of there.
Yeah, there's someone in the back casting sleep spells, that's making the whole fight take longer. And then if there's buffs and debuffs happening, if you've got two opponents that both have full hit points, but one has something on them causing them to get disadvantage on their attack rolls, and the other one's at full strength, go for the one that doesn't have the debuff. Do you know what I mean?
Give me an example.
Yeah.
So there's two guys that we're fighting, right? They're both identical, but I've cast a spell on attacker A so that he always has disadvantage on his attack rolls. Leave him alone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, don't focus on him. Let him be the one that's going to do less damage. Focus on the guy that can do more damage.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's great. And then I guess, and maybe another soft thing too is this is kind of a fun challenge to me. It really has nothing to do with mechanics or anything like that, but it'll be a table of 6, right? And we're going in the WARlando team as 4 people, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to have to recruit 2 people there. And I think it's such a cool opportunity to you want to be competitive and you want to have a good time to just meet somebody in line while you're waiting for it to start, and just have that con experience, even though we're, not going to be walking around or, just chit-chatting with people in the hall. Just get to meet somebody else and figure out what their story is, how they came there, where they're from, and then just kind of bring them into the team and then kind of make a new buddy by the end of the thing. I think that's a super important element of it, right? Tell them how you see it. They can, I think we were talking earlier about that guy who was just a terrific cleric, right? We just met him out in the hallway and we're like, hey, let's play. And we're like, dude, I learned so much just by watching you and how you used your spells and made me want to go play a cleric, right? That kind of stuff is just the camaraderie of it, I think, is one of my favorite parts of this kind of thing.
Well, we might have an opportunity too that maybe try and recruit people. Maybe we can do at the other games, we find other people that are going hey, you play really well. Are you going to the open?
Yeah. And so we also have seats reserved for the charity game on Thursday night.
And is that another pre-gen one, or is that one where you're supposed to bring them?
I'll double check. I think it might be pre-gen, but it's definitely multi-table competitive, similar to the open.
Awesome.
But it's the first year they've done that Thursday night game, and I'm so excited about it because they haven't had a slot there before, and I think that's the perfect time to just jump right in. It's a newer slot for them. It's a newer format. It's all these things, and say hey guys, we're really looking to recruit 2 more for a solid table. Let's exchange numbers. You guys are great. All that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be a great opportunity.
Yeah, needless to say, of course, follow the 6-2-1 rule, and you'll always be in good shape.
Six showers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to sleep. I just had 6 showers. All right, I think this was good. This was productive. I think we're gonna have definitely some areas to research, and I'm looking forward to trying to get these characters out on the table maybe sometime Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it looks like maybe our next step is to try and take what we want to do at Dragoncon, play quickly but efficiently, and just kind of see how well we do. Get one of those little chess timers and clock in, clock out.
Oh my God! If we don't get if we have failed, if we don't get a WARlando training montage.
I was actually thinking about that today. I was thinking about doing a little video of me with the arcane card deck,
mm-hmm.
and having Haley quiz me on what each card is. What's Agatha's armor? What? How do you cast Tensor's floating discs? One of those things. Your montage of
your charisma's 12. You're level 17. What's your spell save DC? Too slow, loser.
I'll have in the montage, I'll have 2 big bags of dice, and I'm curling them.
I want a scene where it's a rip-off of the Rocky scene chasing a chicken, but you're rolling dice at the chicken trying to hit it.
I was thinking definitely a Rocky Dragoncon prep montage.
Yes.
We need somebody to play Mick and be our 100-year-old trainer who's just yelling at us in the background.
Right.
Yeah. You're an animal, Rock. Well, awesome, guys. Thanks for this. Do you know what, Matt?
What's that?
I think it's time for a sign-off.
Mm.
You ready, Nicholas?
I'm ready.
All right, so what do the orcs say when they're going to war? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Whoa! Matt! Oh, is somebody sleeping in your house? Is that why? I'm looking at my screen and it's like, wow, there's like nothing on your end, Matt. I need another wah. I need a Matt solo wah.
Go, give me the countdown again, just because we gotta make sure we're on cue here.
All right. 1, 2, 3.
Ooh, he went low.
Yeah, it's good.
We went high.
I like it.
Yeah. I wanted to talk with Mark about it while everybody was on too, but in terms of other nerd fandoms that him and I are both obsessed with, while y'all are here for Dragoncon.
Is it your draft again?
Well, that's always the case, but there's a new Tool album coming out, which is the first album they put out in like 10 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's going to be, there's going to be a lot of listening to Tool. Sorry, guys.
Is your draft the same weekend again, too?
It's on Monday night, so it'll be after you guys take off.
Okay. It's, I love Tool. That's awesome.
Yeah. So I'm super excited to get a hold of that new album, see what they come up with. Feel anxious riding to work on the train, listening to myself talk. That sounds like they had that scene in The Simpsons where like Marge hears her voice for the first time and she's like, "Oh my God, is that what I sound like?" All right, guys, this is awesome. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, our pleasure. Thanks for doing this. This has been great.
Cool. Well, we'll see you guys very soon, and we'll have you on Wednesday night for Curse of Strahd for sure.
Yes, Curse of Strahd. So we have some sad news coming from us here in WARlando. Currently, Hurricane Dorian is bearing down on us. So we, unfortunately, were not able to go to Dragoncon because we're busy getting ready to board up some windows and restocking our hurricane supplies. So those of you that are at Dragoncon, please have extra fun for us and think happy thoughts while we weather this storm. Remember to look us up on Twitter and Instagram with WARlando Mark, WARlando Nick, and just WARlando for me. We also have t-shirts for sale on Teespring, and you can also buy us a coffee or better yet a beer over on Ko-Fi. Please leave comments. We love hearing your thoughts, and we've been getting really good feedback on our battle reports, which we've started with our Age of Sigmar battle reports. So yeah, please keep that feedback coming and let us know what you like, and we will do more of that. What do orcs say to hurricanes?
Fuck you, Dorian.